So shall we start?
Yeah, we can start. How many are there? 22, no? Yeah, let's start.
Awesome,
Let's
not
start. Otherwise,
22.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, good morning, students. I think we have Professor Jitendra Patri. Okay, so for the session on retail and e-commerce. So let me just give brief introduction about the resource person. So Professor Jitendra Patri is an principal consultant at Zeno, and he's an marketing technology and retail specialist as well. And he's a former CMO and head loyalty at Central, right? So there are some more informations like his key skills and experience, okay, or in retail operations, retail marketing, fashion marketing, store launches, customer experiences, loyalty, and digital and social media marketing, and customer insights. So he's a certified customer experience and customer loyalty professional. So now he is an independent retail and marketing business consultant who is working with startups and fashion brands on their growth path. So he organizes a lot of workshops on personal branding, and he's a proud alumnus of IMB Bangalore. So welcome you, sir, for the session
Thank
on
you.
retail and e-commerce. And over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Harshit. Thank you. Very, very kind of you to have introduced me. Good morning, everybody. So let us spend the next 1 hour, trying to understand, and I'll try and give you some insights into the retail and e-commerce domain, and hopefully it will make an impact on you, and maybe you'll look at it as a career option, or at least give you a perspective where this particular domain or vertical is really headed. Yeah. Let me just sorry. All right. Standard question that I'll ask is: are you able to see my screen? Yeah,
Yes,
can
sir, we
see
can
just.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, great. So, yeah, before I do, I'm basically coming in very cold. I have not really don't know what is it that you're exactly expecting. So, any expectations that you'll have from this? Did you all have any expectations? Did you want to listen to something in particular? Anything that you all felt can be clarified through this session? Okay, that's okay. Fine. I think you can ask me your questions post the session. Yeah. So quick flow of the today's presentation. One is I'll just give you an overview of the retail scenario in India. Also explain to you how e-commerce actually caused the amount of disruption. What has happened because of COVID, yeah, with this particular industry. I'm sure some of you who are paying attention to the media may have read it, and also give you a perspective of what are the kind of roles that you may consider. Right. So, quick story to go a few years back to really try and understand the genesis of retail in India. Yeah. Now, retail, before I do that, just want to quickly define certain things. Now, for ease of understanding, brand categories like apparel and footwear, food and general merchandise, beauty, cosmetics, entertainment, everything all come under retail, right? All of this is either sold through into their own stores or through multi-brand outlets or through department stores or via the e-commerce and e-commerce space, right? We can also add, like I said, department stores. We can also add hypermarkets and supermarkets. Department stores are stores like Central, like Lifestyle. Hypermarkets are like Big Bazaar, Spar. Malls, of course, everybody knows malls, and of course, travel. Travel also includes travel offline, the brick and mortar travel bit, and also online, which is your Make My Trip and Clear Trip. Just to also, I will keep mentioning retail, right? Please don't get confused. When I say retail, when I say retail, it is more the offline retail or the brick and mortar retail, I'm referring to, and so that kind of it makes it easy for me to explain to you. And when I talk about Online retail I will mention as online or e-commerce retail. See, retail in India has been around for centuries, right? So right from the time of the hearts and the mandis and barter system. Why only this? Retail really took off around time of the barter system. So basically, retail is nothing but where there was a common platform and there was a seller and a buyer who came and transacted. So market, it was like a marketplace, and this was on for a very long time. I think sometime in the late 70s, early 80s, there was some semblance of retail becoming a little more streamlined. And I think it was only when the economy really opened up sometime in the late 80s, 90s, is when retail moved towards a little more modern and organized. And here, what I mean by modern and organized is when your complete supply chain, when your complete inventory, when your complete warehouse takes on a lot more process oriented functioning. Yeah. Earlier in the days of the regular and unorganized retail, also you must understand is your down the corner kirana stores or your mom and pop stores. Those little sabzi wala who's sitting right at the corner. They're all part of the unorganized segment. Now, how do they get their supplies? Most of the time, even today, most of the time they have to go around to the market, pick up the stuff and bring it and stock their stores, right? Whereas for a little more organized kind of retail uh, chain or a retail outlet, the supply chain is a lot more organized in the sense the company will come, they'll deliver, the payment terms also are different. You have some credit periods and so on and so forth. The billing is a little, uh, is through the system. It's kind of recorded. So there's a lot of process involved, and that's why the term modern or organized retail. And usually, most of the retail stores have more than one outlet, so it makes it uh, all the more important to keep it in a little more organized space. E-commerce really, I think, took off some set. I mean, kind of started off sometime in the early 2000s. Rediff Online, I think, was the first guys to come on board. This was the fallout of the uh, what they call the dot com. Yeah, while the dot com boom happened sometime around 99 2000, by 2001 2002 dot com the bust also had happened. There was a bubble and it kind of just broke because there was absolutely no anybody who came there. Some got some big funding and they realized that there was no revenue model and everything just went kaput. And there were just too many players who just came and started doing the same thing. And out of this, bust came Rediff.com, started Rediff online shopping. I think Future Bazaar also was one of the first few players in the e-commerce space, started by Kishore Biani. But unfortunately, I think they didn't really realize how to manage and get this thing really going. Yeah, it was only, I think, around 2005, 2006 when Flipkart started, and then 2008, 2009 when Amazon came in through another partner that e-commerce really started taking off. So how large is the sector? The sector is pretty large in the sense that in terms of the complete category market share, from a complete retail perspective, food and grocery is very, very large because then you can also include your mom and pop stores and your corner side sabji walas and everybody else, followed by jewelry, apparel, and electronics and so on and so forth. Yeah, it is expected to reach about little over $1 trillion in terms of overall revenue. So it's a very massive um, number. In terms of the organized retail space, because when you look at organized, the perspective changes. Suddenly, apparel becomes very big, and that's because there are so many organized stores selling, different kind of fashion across price points, followed by jewelry and food and grocery. Food and grocery here in organized is only your larger hypermarkets and supermarkets which are considered. Uh, and that's why the percentage really in an organized setup is small. In terms of e-commerce share of categories, travel is very large, followed by electronics. Groceries is at least in 2019, end of 2018, early 2019 was a very small percentage of the e-commerce shopping business. Like I said, most of India's retail is unorganized or traditional. So what does it really mean? Yeah, if you look at the pie, till about late 2018, this was how the entire pie looked like. So close to 89% was unorganized, 8% organized, and e-commerce was just 3%, and but equaling to about $27 billion. late 2019, when they estimated how the growth would happen, they expected the entire thing to go to about a little over $1 trillion. Unorganized dropping to about 76%, organized growing to about 16%, and e-commerce doubling or tripling to about 8%, which is close to about $88 billion. From compared to a lot of the other countries, I think India is way behind in terms of its modern trade. US, Australia, France, and most of Europe is way ahead in terms of the modern trade. China is now, I think, about 45 of modern trade and 55 of traditional. I'm sorry, yeah, 45 of modern trade and 55 of traditional trade. India is still about 2018, 2019. There's about 11% of modern and 89% of traditional trade. So, what are the kind of disruption that e-commerce happened? What are the kind of disruption that was seen post 2007, 2008? Yeah. So much so that Economic Times published an article saying that brick and retail, and when I mean retail is brick and mortar, would there would be an apocalypse and stores would start closing down. People would lose business and stuff. But thankfully, that did not happen because India is India, and in India, people want to go somewhere, go out of their houses, as like a social occasion, go out there, check it out, check things out, touch and feel, and then come back shopping, come back after shopping, right? Knowing this fully well, I think e-commerce companies, the only way they thought they could acquire customers was offering massive discounts. So the only way they acquired customers with discounts, and they kept doing it for 3-4 years, and they built up some of the brands actually built up very large customer databases. And obviously, if somebody starts giving discount and customers start going there, obviously offline retailers also had to could not sit back and watch and start following. Yeah. What also this disruption created, it changed the way also offline retailers start thinking about the way they look at their own business. Yeah, from just a store perspective, they said, okay, let's make it like an experience zone. Let's change uh, the way itself we kind of do things in the store. Yeah, let's look at more customer experiences. Let's also and why should we sit back and watch? Let's also take the fight up to the e-commerce players. Yes, they have deep pockets. Maybe we don't have deep pockets in terms of heavy budgets, but let's take it up. Let's kind of also see that who can two. It takes two to play a game. It's not about one person playing a game. But sadly, I think towards 2015, early 2016, the world economy started slowing down, and whatever little economical changes that happened in India also kind of impacted, and retail overall started slowing down. In terms of its sales numbers start dropping. So much so that brands realize that if online is the way to go, some brands start thinking about moving to a more. They start thinking of actually setting up their own websites and moving to a model which is slightly different from what they were operating. Yeah, if a brand was manufacturing, their own fashion products or whatever, or any other category, earlier they would sell it through their own stores. They started saying that, hey, I think we need to open up and also put our merchandise on other platforms. So putting up a Myntra or Flipkart or whatever. Offline players started saying that why not collaborate? So people like More, Big Bazaar, Spar collaborated with Amazon. So you could order your groceries on Amazon. Of course, there was Big Basket, which is doing its own thing in the grocery space. But brands also collaborated with Amazon. So you could go up to Amazon, order your groceries, and get it delivered from the nearest More or Spar store. And e-commerce companies, of course, also thought of setting up physical stores where they could display some of the best sellers that they have, create an experience zone where people could come there, see and order, and then get it delivered home. So all in all, I think the retail sector is a very important vertical, especially when it comes to the Indian economy. It contributes to about 10% to the GDP, and in terms of employment, contributes to 8% of the employment share. And India is the fifth largest global destination in terms of retail space occupied, which is a massive footprint, by the way. And a lot of this is from the traditional, from the modern retail, which means that even though modern retail is just about 15-16%, but look at the kind of size it is commanding. Obviously, malls and large departmental stores also add to it. But COVID, had other plans. Yeah, I think while the retail industry was suffering a bit through the slowing down of the economy, but I think coming of the COVID has really caused a lot of pain to brands and this thing. So much so that I think retail businesses around the world have been crippled, and some stores are closing, some are trying to adapt, but some whose categories are the need of the hour at this current time seem to be doing well. So what has happened in the last 7 months, right? Losses in the retail sector have gone skyrocketing. It was only during lockdown, as per the Retail Association of India, it was about 5.5 lakh crore. It is expected to go to about 7.5, 8 lakh crore, because a lot of stores are not being opened. A lot of stores are shut down because brands are not able to pay costs of salaries or cost of rent. Yeah. Some businesses are completely winded up because they just didn't know what to do. They had no way of either sustaining it for some time, or try and do something else, because they just didn't have the cash flows and unsold inventories. Plenty of unsold inventories, especially fashion, luggage. And because of this lockdown and because of whatever was happening and the dynamics around that, the supply chain was completely disrupted. Yeah. The changes that happened also in the last 7 months, which meant that verticals like categories like travel, fashion, even certain electronic segments suffered the biggest blows. Ceremonies completely gone, very hardly, separated. So ceremonial wear was in terms of zero sales. A brand like Neeru's is just doing 10% of what it was doing pre-COVID in terms of sales. Yeah, so that's how bad, that's how severe the effect has been. And smaller fashion stores, which are single brand stores or whatever, and privately owned, are offering other categories. Like they're saying, we'll also sell food items. We'll also sell gourmet food items. We'll also sell certain essentials to ensure that people walk into the store and they may buy fashion as an impulse. Yeah. While loyalty itself was being questioned, loyalty, people were really trying to find out if there was something called loyalty. I think after COVID, it has been really smashed open. People just said, okay, if I get something and if it is needed of the hour, I'll pick it up from wherever. So what is the change post COVID, and what do they expect? I think while organized retail will still stay at about 16, but I think e-commerce will grow by about 2%. We saw it as about 8%, the estimated growth, but I think it will grow to about 10%, which means that it will cross the 100 billion barrier. And grocery market itself, which was about $1 billion sometime till end 2018, early 2019, I think has close to trebled. It's expected to close or exceed $3 billion in terms of sales by the end of 2020. So what are the changes with all of this? What changes can we expect going forward? Yeah, like I said earlier, I was trying to explain what e-commerce and I'm sorry, retail was all about product. So it was the entire focus was on product. But today, brands are realizing that it is no more. You can't. You have to focus on the customer. The customer has to be placed first in many ways, in the way the customer understanding or customer engagement, communicating with the customer. All of that has to take precedence. Even experience at the stores has to kind of be now looked at and strictly adhered to. Technology is going to play a huge role. It started sometime in 2015, 2016, while it was embraced by e-commerce very openly because they are technological platforms. But offline retail is now realizing that technology is going to really be the game changer in the entire survival, in the fight for survival. So what are the shifts that are happening? When I say digital transformation, it's only offline, your regular retailers who are now moving to adapting to digital to try and move forward in the business. Those who never had websites are now looking to accelerate to sell via digital channels. Projects or any digital activity that was planned and said, no, we'll do it by 2022, 2023 is now being fast tracked so much so that people are saying now, let's finish it now. Why wait till then? Consumer shifts. Why is this happening? Because consumer is shifting towards online channels. More of consumers, people like you were born into the online space, you're very familiar with that. Yeah, there are others who are just not familiar, but they are now learning how to be available online, shop online, stuff like that. Brands are looking to now spend more monies on digital marketing, focus on more ROI. How do I focus on return on investment? How can I do more with less budgets? Earlier, when I was head of marketing at Central, we used to operate with about 70, 80 crores of marketing spends. Today, I don't. My guess is they will not to do the same thing. You will not have more than 20 crores. Yeah. So how do you still manage, the with a less budget and still try and achieve your business targets? And customer experience is going to become a reality. Brands who are thinking of who just started off going or thinking of going to a more direct to consumer business will now see things getting accelerated. More brands will get onto this platform. In addition to platforms like Amazon and Flipkart, which are basically platform based models, there are a lot of other startups who are coming up in the tech and hyperlocal space who are going to connect or offering to connect sellers and buyers. So different forms of ensuring that shopping is going to happen from the comforts of the home or comforts of anywhere. Yeah. Multi-channel, omni-channel retailing. How can a brand give you experience uh, through different mediums? How can you get the same experience of shopping through different mediums? Whether you're trying to shop from an Instagram account, or whether you call up the brand and say, I want to shop some for something, whether you walk into a store, whether you go to the website, or you even want to shop from the app. Yeah. How do you kind of give a very seamless kind of experience? And with certain changes in the consumer behavior, with also the with emphasis on sustainability, recycling and reuse may also find a lot more customers. So I think from your perspective, I think you have to get ready to retail. And the good thing is you're not carrying any legacy. There's no background, to certain things that happened in the past. You're coming out fresh, so you will be ready to retail in a very post-COVID world. Just to before I go and tell you what more to in terms of the roles and things like that, but these are some of the brands who are operating in the offline or brick and mortar space. So there's Landmark, Reliance Retail, Aditya Birla, More, Arvind Fashions, Titan, Chroma, Westside, Unlimited, Biba, all of those brands that you see when you go into more into the marketplace. In terms of online retailers, of course, common ones like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Snapdeal, etc., and so many, Tata Click, and so on and so forth. Omni-channel players, Lenskart, Specs Maker. So if you look at Lenskart, whether you go to the website, whether you download the Lenskart app, or whether you go to the Lenskart store, the experience is very, very similar, right? So omni-channel, some of the omni-channel players who I think are going to make it very big. By the way, just to give you a perspective, Lenskart is the number one player in the eyewear space, and they started just about 6-7 years ago. Whereas people like Titan Eye Plus and others, and overall eyewear is a very unorganized space, right? They are still struggling to make the business, and then Lenskart and Specs Makers are number one and number two. So, what are the kind of roles or departments that are there in a retail format? And here, this is completely brick and mortar retail format. Obviously, cashiering, inventory, merchandising, marketing, operations, customer service, visual merchandising, facility management, commercial, supply chain. Yeah. So in a online or e-commerce format, most of the functions are the same, but there would be certain additions like seller experience, operations, cataloging, technology. Of course, is going to play a big thing, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So, what kind of roles you can consider for yourselves? Yeah. In offline retail, the action happens in store. So and hence the store teams are really called the front facing teams, because that's where they interact with the customer is walking to the store, interacting with the merchandise, interacting with the teams. Yeah. Teams, the stage head office is more the support of the back end teams. Yeah. And depending on the size of the retailer, there will be a lot of hierarchies. Smaller the retailer, less of hierarchies. Larger retailer, plenty of hierarchy, because the market will then be split into regions and stuff like that. And in India, you must realize retail really works around demographics, which means that possibly across entire India, just 50% will be common within the retail stores, and the rest 50% is more, tuned or more customized to the market that it operates in. In terms of technology, ERP, POS, CRM are some of the tools that the offline retailers will really be focusing on, including CRM also covers loyalty and customer experience and so on and so forth. So marketing, basic objective of marketing is to really acquire customers and drive footfalls to the store, which means that marketing is now no more a brand custodian role, but it actually is a business driving role. Yeah. So how do you really drive growth? How do you really drive business? That's the focus of marketing. And what do people who join marketing in retail do? Yes, they'll obviously look at advertising, PR, and marketing communications, but also in addition, do work around programs in loyalty, CRM, customer retention is a huge thing. Digital marketing, data-driven marketing. Now that there's so much of data that's being generated by customers, both online and offline, how to really use that data and drive more personalized, more relevant engagements. Operations. Two key functions in the retail is operation and merchandising. Operations is one of them because they are the people who manage the business at the store. So store manager is actually like a mini CEO. So if you've seen a central store in any part of the country, or if you've seen a very large lifestyle store, some of those stores must be doing close to about 100, 120 crores of business, which is equal to a small industry. Yeah. So store manager is really a people's manager, is a customer experience manager. Responsible for business, responsible for profit. So P&L is a key KPI in a portfolio. The other people who work with the store manager, people like department managers, floor managers, store category managers, especially in large stores, because you have so many different categories there, right? Cosmetics and perfumes and all that. So each of them have a manager who looks after the entire business, does the business analysis, see what's selling, not selling, gives feedback back to the merchandising, same thing that this is working, this is not working, and so on and so forth. And yes, because they are front facing, they obviously deal in a lot of customer experience initiatives. Cashiers and commercial, I think I don't want to explain too, but cashiers, people who stand behind the POS machines, do the billing and then packing in, and they're the last point of contact in a retail store. Commercial, of course, a lot of the financial functions they take care of. Supply chain, inventory, warehouse, very key, important roles again, and because the success of retail is all about how quickly things get replenished, how quickly the new products and new connections can come to the store. So these three functions really help achieve the efficiencies in that for the brand. Merchandising, they are the ones who actually they are the start of the entire chain of the business chain. They are the ones who go out, identify suppliers, vendors, manufacturers, get this goods and negotiate the price, negotiate the margins, and then stock it up in the right way in the stores, which the operations team will then sell. Marketing will act as a support function to try and ensure that customers come see the products that the merchandising team has brought, and then ensure that business happens. By when more customers come in, obviously the operations team is more comfortable because they know they have lot more customers to engage with. Yeah. In regular categories like food and stuff like that, you don't need much of a specialization. But in apparel and cosmetics, you need a little more specialization. Apparel specifically, because you need to understand fashion, you need to understand textiles, you understand fabrics and things like that. So there is a bit of specialization required. So merchandising teams work on pricing, they work on margin negotiations, they work on all the training materials that is required for employees across levels. Yeah, they do. They also go out and decide on where should a certain brand be placed in the store. Why should it be placed in a particular way? Why can't it? Why should a particular brand be placed to the end of the store? So all of this, the merchandising team along with design team will really do. They also keep tab on market trends, how customers react to products, and then so that any course corrections can be taken and undertaken, and also analyze sales figures. How do you really report growth, expansion, and any change in market dynamic should be quickly also be tapped in by them so that they can make the course corrections. Now, visual merchandising is a very specific course. People who work in the design or work in fashion technology space or have done the course in design or NIFT, the National Institute of Fashion Technology, they usually get into visual merchandising. Visual merchandisers work with merchandisers to ensure that the products really come to life. So all those mannequins that you see when you walk into a store, or those lovely displays when you walk into a cosmetic store or any kind of general merchandise store, is all done through visual merchandising. How do you make the category or the product sell itself through beautiful displays? Yeah. In online retail, I think operations are more centralized. It's unlike offline retail, which is more fragmented and spread across. But it is in online, the logistics is distributed to ensure that a lot of geographies are covered and deliveries can be managed. Yeah. So some of the roles, I'm not going to repeat all the roles, but some of the roles that can make sense is something called seller experience, right? Seller experience is nothing but once a seller is onboarded. So I'm a manufacturer of certain, I manufacture mobile phones. The mobile phones now I'm going to sell it on Amazon. Now the merchandising team will onboard me, right? They have met me. They have okay. They've kind of accepted my interest to sell those products on Amazon. Now I'm becoming a vendor in Amazon. Now once I've become a vendor, the seller team will take over and start engaging with me to ensure that I have no discomfort. I have no any queries that I have can be sorted. They will also manage how to move certain things in terms of how do they kind of help me drive my business on these sites. So a lot of this engagement is done by the seller experience team, and which also means that they will be working with different partners within the organization to ensure that they meet their KPIs. Technology, of course, big, huge role now in retail. So things like how do you, especially for the e-commerce in the online space, how do you really look at customers who come to the website but don't shop, but still the brand can keep track. So things like retargeting, remarketing is becoming a big thing. Using technology to really understand customers even more deeper. How can I really understand my customer other than trying to just find out, when is he coming, just doing a simple RFM analysis. Instead of that, how more deep can I get? What is he buying? When is he buying? What times does the customer prefer to buy? How often does he come, visit, and then actually make the purchase? A lot of science is now being used to really understand customer. Since there's so many technologies at play, just the consolidation of this technology itself is a challenge. Yeah, and upgrading of secure payment gateways is a constant work in progress, because security of the customer's payment this thing is very, very important. Customer experience, and when I say customer experience, please don't confuse it with customer service. Customer experience is an ongoing process. It's about giving the customer the best of a positive feel at any time when the customer engages with the brand. He could be engaging with the digital channel of the brand. He could be engaging with the social media channel of the brand. He could be engaging with the brand in the store. He could be engaging with the brand on the app. So wherever the interaction is happening, the experience has to be good for a customer really to feel good and actually go out and you know create and create a good word of mouth. So a good customer experience strategy is extremely important to retain customers and create advocates. And how has COVID impacted consumer? I think apart from the fact that your social distancing, hygiene, health, and all that, I think today there's a lot of changes that have happened. Right, the rise of the smart shopper, focusing on e-commerce and focusing on digital. More customers spending time on the digital mediums. Remote way of living, so it doesn't matter that whether customers have to be in a city. He can be anywhere else and still interact with the brand. Do it yourself is now becoming a big thing in the food space, where food, when I mean in the restaurant space, but I think somewhere do it yourself will also come about in the other sectors. Yeah. So what are new trends? Ultra convenience. How much of convenience can I offer the customer? Whether it's through ensuring the customer is safe in his house and I get the deliveries are there, or customer can shop from anywhere, anytime. Customer interact with the brand from anywhere at any time he wants to. Recommendation engines and personalization. How does deep learning of the customer, how much how can you really use this information to connect with the customer? But it is easier for an online retailer to do it, like Amazon relies on recommendation engines very heavily, so much so that 30% of Amazon's Worldwide business comes from recommendations, right? Offline retailers also are realizing the importance of this and now studying the data even more deeply to get into use different channels to kind of uh, engage with the customers. Augmented reality and virtuality, the XR as they call it, the extended reality, offering you store experience by sitting, offering you as if you're going to walk through a store by you sitting at home, and then contactless and cashless stores. So even if there's no, even if there are people in the store, you can still go pick up the stuff, bill it yourself, and walk out. Why? Because there are mobile machines that are available which can do it at any point. You don't have to no more. You don't need to go to and stand in a cash counter and then wait in the queue for some. If the store is crowded. So I think from a personal perspective, ensure that you're cognizant of change. Be aware of what's really happening in the marketplace. Tier 2, tier 3 markets are developing. Even if there's a role in a tier 2 market, please go. No harm. It doesn't have to be that you have to always be in a city or a tier 1 market. The brick and mortar industry is seeing a complete overhaul. It'll not be the same anymore. Roles will become more focused. Yeah. Earlier, maybe brands could afford 7, 8 member teams. Today, that entire thing has dropped to about 2 or 3 people, especially in marketing. Yeah. Consumer trends, keep track of what is shifting, where are they going. Newer businesses, newer brands will keep coming up. More business will move offline, more business will move to the online and omni space. And you are dealing with a more digital savvy, smart customer. From a career perspective, ensure that you're open, flexible, be patient. It may take time, right? The situation is not now where right now is where there may not be many roles open. So if you're not okay to take certain roles, so be patient. Things will open up. Maybe in a couple of 3, 4 months, things will start slowly looking up. Yeah. Some of the roles that you should look at is supply chain, marketing technology, customer experience, operations, seller experience in for an e-commerce in the e-commerce space. Keep track. How do you know how these jobs are available? So keep track on company websites, LinkedIn. Keep skilling yourself, upgrade, specialize if need be. Do a course in, or if you have the funds, or even if you start working, please invest in some education. Do course in data analytics. Do course in digital marketing if it helps. Yeah. And please remember there will be a lot of consolidation and collaborations happening. Consolidation may not be many, but at least many brands will start collaborating with each other to ensure that they, kind of take advantage of each other's strengths. Yeah. Even if you like retail, but you don't want to join a retailer, but there's a tech startup that is working the retail, that is working to solve problems in the retail space, please join the tech startup. No harm. You'll learn a lot. Yeah. And last but not the least, choose your boss wisely. So thank you. That's what I had to share for today. So if there's any question, if there's anything that did not meet your expectations, please do raise it. Please ask me questions. Any doubt that you have, anything that you want to ask me, please feel free.
Sir, one question I just want to ask is about the opportunities because they are in third semester now, the MBA
Yeah.
students. So, what are the various opportunities that the MBA students have in retail and e-commerce? So, normally they have a mindset like they want to start their roles in terms of roles and designations from assistant manager roles and manager roles.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of opportunities that these fresh MBA students have in retail and e-commerce?
Okay. First thing first, I think if you're going in as a regular MBA student, yeah, please keep in mind there are 100 others also there, right? But if you do, but I'll come to that. What are the kind of roles that you can look at? I think from an offline retailer, if you want to start off as an assistant manager, roles like department roles in the operations will definitely help. Okay. In obviously in the head office or the back end, roles in marketing or roles even in merchandising teams you can join in if you have that flair for. You may not have a professional fashion degree, but at least if you have the flair to understand certain nuances of business, certain nuances of category, you can join those teams. But operations team, where you can join as a department manager or assistant department manager, start there. Yes, it is working in the stores, which may seem like a kind of a very, what should I say, negative thing, but no, it's not. The amount of learning that these guys get about customer, about business, about product is phenomenal, right? So much so that even when I joined my retail career about sometime in 2007, 2008, I used to go to the stores. I used to sit behind the cash counter and watch these guys. I used to help cashiers pack because I wanted to know, what are the kind of what they do, what are the efficiencies they do, how do they speak to customers, what are the customer reactions. Now I can get to also get feedback from customers about certain things. So there's no harm at all, correct? And so those are the kind of roles in terms of look for marketing roles, obviously, but if you have a course in digital marketing or something, we'll give you an advantage. And the only way to also to know more about retail is, while I think 6, 8 months back it would be easy, where I would have easily told you, you know what, go spend about 2 hours in stores, observe what is happening, and then make a learning of make a record all those learnings and use it during interviews. But today, of course, going to the store itself, you don't even know whether customers are going to come to the store, even if you go there and stand to observe. But still, if there's an opportunity, please do it. Yeah, it will give you immense learning. There's a lot of insight that you can gain through all of this. Yeah, from an e-commerce perspective, I think the standard, I mean, there are so many, right? Finance, if you're more focusing finance or supply chain, please explore those roles. In the e-commerce expensive, look at e-commerce perspective, look at seller experience, look at even in the customer experience space. Please look at the roles in the customer experience space. Very, very important. Marketing, I think marketing as a function will not be called marketing anymore. It's going to be called customer experience and customer growth or business growth. Yeah. So look at those kind of roles.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other question that you have?
So, this is Sugandha.
Yes, Sugandha.
So, could you tell about the competences that has to be possessed by the fresh MBAs if you want to be a part of this industry?
Okay, there is no, unfortunately, there are, universities or colleges offering you a whole time, full time course in retail, but there's no need to do it. Uh, the only way to really understand more about retail is keep reading, keep a tab of what's really happening. Two is see if you can go and develop your own experiences through, like I said, go to a store, spend some time in a store, see what happens, see how the customer comes, or just walk into a mall, just observe what's happening. A lot of this learning, or even go to different websites and see what are the kind of user experience you're getting. All of this will give you a perspective. Yeah? I did, also as a fresher, they don't expect you to have deep insights into, how business is calculated, or how, if today in a particular store, if 100 walk-ins come in, and if there is 20% conversion, which means that out of 120% are buying, how much sale will happen, calculate. I'm sure they will not ask you those kind of questions, but even if they do, it's very simple. 100, if 100 customers walk into a store and if 20% is the conversion, so 20 customers are actually converting, and each of those customers on average is spending 3,000 rupees, between the 6 lakh of business that the store is doing. Yeah, which is 3,000 into 2 into 20. Or is it 60,000? Sorry, 6 lakh, right? I'm sorry, I'm not getting my math right, but
Okay.
yeah. So whatever, 6 lakh or 60,000, whatever it is, right? So maybe little things like that you have a grasp knowledge of, keep it with you, and then bring it up. But if you have a special, if you want to get into marketing, if you have a course, if you have done something in the area of digital marketing, it will help. It'll like bring in that amount of weightage, because if you're looking at 10 freshers, and if you have a certain skill set, additional skill set, that will definitely help. Yeah. For operations, really, I think just acumen, just attitude, uh, will matter, and the way you kind of conduct yourself should matter. Yeah. But please read, please keep upgrading your knowledge bank regularly.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anything else? Any other questions that you guys have?
Hi, sir. This is Saif Ali, sir.
Yes, sir. Tell me.
Sir, in the field of e-commerce,
Yeah.
what are the technical skills are required, sir?
Okay, there are pure tech skills, which is more in the area of implementing supply chain projects and stuff like that. But the other thing that you can do, which I also should have mentioned maybe a minute ago, is understand about data analytics. Yeah, so some of the tech that you can do is data analytics is one area that you should look at in terms of the tech understanding. You can also look at, yeah, you've already studied supply chain, I think you should pursue supply chain, and then once you start working, then look at upgrading your skills, because you will get some experience and exposure handling technologies when you're there. What else is not? I mean, from a marketing perspective, you may not do much of the actual handling of technologies, because there will be tech startups and there'll be a tech team who will help you, but you must understand what technology, at least from a usage perspective, you need to understand. So things like performance-based marketing in the digital marketing space, or for CRM, what platforms can I use? If I want to do personalized marketing, what platforms do I use? How do I, do audience-based marketing using certain technology platforms? Yeah. Or how do I use CRM platforms? So all of that, read. But if you can do a course in data analytics, I'm telling you, once you start working, please invest some money in data analytics. Will definitely help, especially if you're in the marketing or customer experience, or in the CRM loyalty program management space. Of course, in online, everybody uses technology, right? I mean, technology is basically an enabler. So unless you're a typical IT person, your involvement with technology will be just about 20% of your max 20% of your overall job profile.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, any other questions from the students? Right. So I really thank Professor Jitendra, okay, for giving your valuable inputs on the retail and e-commerce side. So what exactly it is, how the companies are doing.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, sir, from the
My
Department
pleasure.
of MBA and even on behalf of the director, faculty members, and students as well.
Yeah, ready.
So thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much. All the very best to you guys.
No.